All right, guys. So we are back from the interruption. So as I was saying just now, that to be able to find the equation of a straight line, we can work with any of these given scenarios. So one, if we know one point and the gradient, we can use that to find the equation of the line. Two, if we know 2 points, we can also use that to find the equation of the line. If we have a graph of the line, we can use that graph of the line to find the equation of the line. Now, so I was explaining to you how we go about using the line on the graph to find the equation. Now, so once more, we say that if you have a straight line and it is on a graph, now what you need to be able to find the equation of the line, you need to know the gradient of the line, and you need to know the y-intercept. Now, the y-intercept is just simply where the line cuts the y-axis. So remember now, this would have been your y-axis. Now, wherever the line cuts the y-axis, you read that value at that point. And that is what we call the y-intercept. So if at this point, the y value is 3, then it means C would be 3. Now, the next thing that we would have to find is the gradient. And we say that all you need to do to find a gradient of a straight line, you construct a right angle triangle to the line, all right? And once you have done that, then what you need to do is to work out what this length is. And this will be a length in X. Then you work out what this height is. And this height going to be measured in Y. So you can actually look along the Y-axis and do a calculation of what Y should be. So if this is a Y value up here and this is a Y value down here, subtract this one from the one above to get this length. Now, same thing on the X-axis. If you have an X value here, and you have another X value here, you subtract this X value here from this one to get this X value. And so once you know what this X value is and what this Y value is, then now you can use this equation to work out the gradient. Remember now the gradient is M, and it is calculated by Y divided by X, right? And we have a simple way to remember it. The Y would be the rise and the X would be run. So sometimes we often memorize this formula by saying rise over run. So if you can remember rise over run, knowing that the rise will be a Y value and the run will be the X value. So in other words, constructing a right angle triangle to this line, the rise will be the leg of the triangle and the run will be the base of the triangle. So the rise is the Y value, the run is the X value. All right, so once you find what M is by doing this calculation, you just put the value of M in this equation. So whatever M is, you replace this M with the value. Whatever C is on the graph, you replace this C with the value, and that gives you the equation of the line. Is that clear, guys? Is that clear? Ms. Raysom?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What about Mr. Adams? Are you clear about what I'm explaining? Ms. Green? Are you clear?
rise over.
Yes, sir.
I didn't hear you, Miss Green. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
You're good with the explanation. All right, so Mr. Adams, all we are saying is that you're going to randomly construct this triangle. So you just draw a vertical line. It doesn't matter how big you want to make it. You just randomly make a triangle, right angle triangle to this line at some part on the line. And then now, you based on the measurements on the graph, you try to measure what this length of the triangle will be. But it will be a y value because you're measuring going up along the y-axis. You also try to measure what this length of the base will be. And because it is measured along the x-axis, it's going to be an x value. And then now, you're just going to divide the y value by the x value, right? And that is what we are referring to as rise over run. The y value that you get would be the rise, and the x value that you get would be the run. So you would divide the y value by the x value, and that would give you your m. And whatever that value of m that you calculate, you put it here in this general form. It replaces m with that value. Whatever value you see at this point where the line cuts the y-axis, if it cuts it at 4, whatever value it cuts it at, you take that value to be the value of c and just put it here in the equation. So let's say you had done this calculation and you get the gradient to be 4. And let's say here where the line cuts the axis here, let's say that it would be 10. Then what would we know? We know that c would be 10 and m would be 4. So it means that the equation that we would have, we are just going to write this, take out the m, and put in the 4 that we calculate from that, and then we put back the x. And then now where it cuts the y-axis would be 10. So we put back the plus sign, and then we replace the c with 10. Is that clear now to you, Mr. Adams? Are you there, Mr. Adams? Oh, it seemed like Mr. Adams actually dropped off. All right, I hope you will watch the video from this class to get this explanation. All right, guys, so I'm going to clear what I have here now and move on. So these are the 3 scenarios that you'll be given. And so from any one of these 3 scenarios, you should be able to find the equation of a line. All right, so moving on. So now here we have an example. Now here we have a graph of a straight line. Now, can we find the equation of this line? Now I'm going to ask you to do your calculation of the gradient, find the y-intercept, and write the equation for this line for me. Raise your hand when you're finished, guys.
Sir, before I start, the numbers that I'm seeing on the outside in the yellow, those are on the y-axis, right? Sir, I'm not hearing you.
Yeah, those are the y values. The ones
Okay.
are yellow. And the red
Okay.
ones are the x values.
Okay, sir.
So as you notice, the scale would be different on both axes.
Okay, sir.
All right. Anybody ready for me? Did anybody calculate the gradient and find the y-intercept as yet?
Sir, the y-intercept would have been -4.
You should tell me, you know.
I'm telling you, sir.
Okay,
That's
so
good.
you're asking me.
All right, sir. So it's -4 because that's where the line cuts the y-axis at -4.
Right.
Yes, sir. And sir, for the gradient now, the x values that I get would have been this look to me, all right. So I know that x1 right here, sir, this would have been about 0.9 something. Me just estimate it.
Well, what you want to do rather than estimate is to actually calculate it. So I would say find distinct x values along the x-axis where you can actually construct your right angle triangle.
But sir,
For instance, if you look
well,
here on the line, notice that right here
it's 2.
and right here x is 4.
Yes, sir.
So what you would do, you would go up and you could just construct your triangle
the triangle right there.
right there so that you can do a proper calculation. All right.
Okay.
So
So sir, it doesn't matter where we formed the triangle from.
no, it doesn't matter where on the line you're forming the triangle.
Okay. Okay.
All you have to do is ensure, because wherever you form it, the gradient still going to be the same when you calculate it.
Okay,
So
sir.
you want to work with values that are distinct and what we would refer to as integer values.
Okay, sir. All right, sir. Thank you.
Ms. Green, are you getting anywhere with this question? Ms. Dorothy, how about you? And Mr. Lamar?
Sir, I'm trying to do the calculation for the x and y value.
Okay, Ms. Ray, some of you made your calculation?
Yes, sir, I think I did.
Okay, you want to share what your gradient is with us?
All right, sir. So for the gradient, sir, I use the formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, sir.
Okay.
So the values I got for x2 and x1 was 2 and 4.
Okay.
And then for y2 and y1, sir, I got 6 and 16.
Okay.
So, sir, when I did the calculation now, 16 take away 6, leave 10, and then 2 from 4 leave 2, and that 10 over 2, and when I break it down, sir, I got 5.
All right.
And then
Very good,
and
Miss.
then yes, sir.
Very good, Miss Wisdom. Anybody else got that value to be the gradient? Miss Green? I guess Miss Green is doing work as we speak, maybe Mr. Lamar as well. All right, so you could pretty much do the calculation from the graph. So you look at so you construct your right angle triangle. And what you want to do is to calculate the length of the base, which is some x value. And you want to calculate the height of the leg of the triangle, which is some y value. Now, in order to get this x value, you want to know what the x value at this end is. You want to know what the x value here is. And you also want to know what the x value here is. So when you look down on the graph, you see that x would be 2 at this point, and x would be 4 at this point. And so you're simply going to calculate x by subtracting 2 from 4. So if you take away 2 from 4, you see that x would be equal to just 2. And in a similar way, you would calculate the y value. So you want to find the y value at this point here. What is y at this point? And you want to find the y value at this point above here. Now, looking at the graph, you can see that this point, if you go right across on the y-axis, you see that value would be 6. And at the top here, if you go across on the y-axis, you see that value would be 16. So you know that what you want to do is to just subtract the 6 from the 16 to get the y value. So y would be equal to 16 minus 6, which will just give you 10. And then now, all you have to do now is to calculate your gradient using the equation m is equal to y over x. Now, the y value we know would be 10. The x value we know is 2. We divide 10 by 2, and we get 5. So it means our gradient is 5. M is equal to 5. Now, so what else do we need to be able to write the equation for this line? Now we need to know the y-intercept, where this line cuts the y-axis. So if you look at this point on the y-axis, you see that it cuts it at -4. That means the c value would be equal to -4. So all we need now is to now write the general form, which is y equal to mx plus c. And then now we substitute the value for m and the value for c in this. So therefore the equation would be y equal, now you replace the m with 5. So it will be 5x so it will be 5x plus Well, in this case, C is a -4, so you wouldn't have a plus. So you would just have -4. And that's what the equation will be. So this is the equation that you should get. Let me see your hands if you got this equation. All right, Miss Waysome, Miss Darty, Mr. Lamar, Miss Green. Seems like Miss Green drop off. All right, so I'm going to clear this and continue, guys. All right, so we know based on our calculation just now, our y value is 10, our x value is 2. We know that our y-intercept is c. We calculate our gradient. We use the general form y equal mx plus c, and then this is what we get for our equation. All right. So everybody should be good with this. Ms. Green, you're back?
Yes, sir.
I was asking if you had gotten the equation from this when we were working through just now. Did you calculate what the gradient is? And did you calculate what the y, well, did you identify C to be -4?
Yes, sir.
And you calculate the gradient to be 5?
No, sir. I didn't reach that far.
Okay, so I was explaining it when you dropped off. So from the right angle triangle that you constructed here, you need to find what the x value at this point is and what the x value at this point is at the end of the base rather. So we see if you come down on the x-axis, you would see that at that point x would be 2. This point x would be 2. And if you come down from this point now, you see that x would be 4. And so all you do, you subtract this 2 from this 4, and then you will get the x value to be 2 units. And in a similar way, you do it for the y. So you find the y value at this point and the y value at this point. So you just go across on your y-axis. From here, going across, you see that the y value there would be 6. And above from this point going across on the y-axis, you see that the y value would be 16. So here we subtract 6 from 16 and we would get y to be equal to 10, right? So now what we need now is to calculate the gradient. So remember the gradient equation is m equal to the y value over the x value. And so this would just simply mean we're going to put 10 over 2. So these are the values that we calculated. So we have now 10 divided by 2. So we'll get the gradient m to be equal to 5. You get that, Miss Green?
Yes, sir.
And then now from the general y equal mx plus c form. So from the general form, we are now going to substitute the value for m and c to get the equation. So the equation therefore would be y, and when we replace m with our gradient, which is 5, we would get 5x. And now c, we know c would be -4. So we would not put back a plus sign here because this is a minus, so we would have -4. And that would give you the equation. Is that clear now, Ms. Green?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Lamar, Ms. Tarty, are you clear with that? Guys, you have to respond. If you're not responding, then I won't know what is happening with you.
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
You are doing something else, Mr. Lamar, because you seem pretty distracted.
No, sir.
All right, so where do I lose you? Where did I lose you?
Sir, I was like, I missed the first part of what you doing. I just don't know. Weird.
I understand. And you were not here yesterday either.
No, sir.
Okay, all right. Never mind. What you'll have to try and do is watch the videos, right?
Oh, yes, sir.
But at the same time, try to see if you can follow what we are doing. You may be able to pick up on some things. All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. Moving along. All right. So here now we have our next example 2. And in this case, we are not given a straight line graph or a graph of a straight line, but instead what we are given, what is it that we are given in this question? Anybody knows? Read the question for yourself and see what is given. It says, find the value of M and C if the straight line y equal mx plus c passes through the point -1 and 3. So x equal -1, y equal 3. And it has the gradient of 6. So what do we know? And what can we do to find our equation?
So we already have the value of the gradient.
All right, so we know what the gradient is. What else do we know?
2 points.
You mean actually 1 point?
Oh, that's 1.
Yeah, that's 1. X and Y coordinates.
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So it means that you have 1 point and you have the gradient. So with these two alone, you should be able to work out what C is. And then after you find C, you should be able now to write the equation for the straight line. Now, the question did not really ask you to write the equation. It only asks you to find what M is and what C is. But I'm just going to add to that by asking you to write the equation as well. All right. So I'm going to give you a little chance to think about this to see how you could calculate C based on what is given here. And then, so I'll give you about 5 minutes to figure this out. If you're not able to figure it out by then I'll walk you through the process. All right, guys? So your 5 minutes begins now. All right, guys. Did anybody, was anybody able to figure out what the value for C is?
Sir. 3.
How do you arrive at that answer?
Sir, the point here is a -1 and 3, sir. And sir, we basically just drop my little plus. I mean, it's a -1 and negative, and then when you go up to +3, so it basically come cross like it will form a little rectangle triangle right in the sector there. So that basically cut the y-axis at the 3.
Oh, I understand, but it wouldn't cut the y-axis at the 3 because remember, no, this is a y value. Yeah, you get what I'm saying?
The 3 is a y value, yes, sir.
Right. So remember in the equation, the 3 is a point, a y value for a point. Now this C is where it cuts the y-axis, which is not the same as this value at this point. All right, so what you can do though is to simply plug these values in this equation. So you know that for this, you would have an x value equal 1, and you would have a y value equal to 3. So you're going to just substitute, and you know the gradient, which is m. So put m equals 6, x equal -1, and y equal to 3 in the general form, in y equal mx plus c. And then now you would calculate what c is. If you put in this value, you would get, what's the y value? 3. So you'd have
3.
You'd have 3 equal to, what's m? 6. What's x? -1
Yes, sir.
plus c. So you calculate that now. 6 times -1 give you what?
-6, sir.
So this give you -6 plus c. So how you can get c now? You bring over the 6 on this side, -6. It becomes